obligations will be affected in any way. Now, let's take for instance, you have a transaction, a business transaction. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Reginald-Paul. If you're new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video. Please do not make it your last by clicking on the subscribe button below and hitting the notification bell. I really appreciate you. I appreciate you for stopping by. I appreciate you for watching this video, clicking on this video. Thank you so much for coming around. And if you're a returning subscriber, I appreciate you for staying around. I appreciate you for always clicking every video that pops up from this channel. And just to put it out there that you're clicking this video and watching this video encourages me to do more, and I do not take it for granted. Thank you. In today's video, we'll be talking about contracts. Yes, we'll be talking about contract. If you're a young adult doing business or getting into transaction, or just having daily businesses and transactions that affect your rights, your liabilities, obligation, or even just affect money, either ways, please, this video is for you. Sit down and watch this video so that you can know what to do and when to do it. So what is a contract? A contract is a binding agreement between two or more persons. It can also be defined as a promise or a set of promises that will be enforceable in law. When do you need to have a contract? Most people ask me, oh, when do I need to have a contract and all those things? You need to have a contract when your rights, your liabilities, and your obligations will be affected in any way. Now, let's take for instance, you have a transaction, a business transaction that you're going into with somebody, or just a transaction, and for some reason it affects your rights, it affects your liabilities, it affects your obligation, or you're even going to put money in it. Please don't do that without having a contract. Whether it is oral, whether it is written, please have some form of agreement or a contract in place so that it can define the rights and the liabilities of the parties or the person with whom you'll be having that business transaction. A contract may either be oral or may be written. An oral contract is a spoken contract just by way of words between the two parties, two or more parties, or it may be written, which means that it has been reduced into writing and every party has their own copy of the contract or the agreement, as the case may be. Whether it is a spoken contract, an oral contract, or it is a written contract, these two types of contract have their pros and their cons, of which we'll not be dealing with it in this video. We'll be dealing with it in another video so that you can know exactly what kind of contract you should be looking out for in whatever type of transaction that you might be having with your colleagues or your business partner. Just to put it out there, the court will readily enforce a contract in as much as that contract is not an illegal contract and it is not against public policy. So your contract is legal, it is genuine, it is a legitimate business transaction. Your contract will be enforceable in a court of law. Now, what are the instances in which, like everyday practical instances in which you should have a contract? You're doing buying and selling, whether it's even a large quantity, whether it is a small quantity, retailing, wholesaling, whatever it is, you should have an agreement. Even if it's an oral agreement, oh, you're going to deliver these goods within so and so day, and when you deliver these goods within so and so day, I'm going to send so and so amount, which will either be part payment or full payment. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So based on that contract, you can even go ahead to make another contract with another person, just between you and the person, based on the contract that you have had with this other person. And if this other person fails to deliver their own part of the contract, you can actually sue for breach of contract and claim damages in that kind of scenario. Another instance in which you should have a contract or an agreement is in employment. You are going to employ somebody, or you are the one that is going to be employed. Please insist on having a letter of employment or even a contract of employment. A letter of employment can serve as your contract of employment. Let these things have your rights and your liabilities, your obligations to the company or the obligation to which the worker owes the company. Let it be spelled out. Or this person wants to leave the company, what are the things that needs to be done? Will there be a 1 month notice in lieu of salary? Will it just be wake up in the morning, put in resignation letter and go? Let these things be spelled out in your contract of employment or letter of employment, whatever it is that is obtainable in that environment. Another instance where you must I cannot even emphasize this enough. You must get a contract. It's in sale of land, please. I don't understand how people pay for properties, pay for land without having a written agreement. No, this one is not even that it has to be spoken, it must be written. I don't know how people pay money without having a contract, a written agreement, even if it's part payment, even if it's 10% of the price of the land. Please have a contract of sale of land first. Then when you have completed payment and when you have concluded that you want to buy this piece of property, then you cannot do a deed of assignment or a deed of conveyance, as the case may be. Please don't pay money for land if you have not done, if you don't have a contract for sale of land in place. Now, another instance in which you should have a contract, you're going into a business with somebody. It's more like a partnership, a joint venture, a business of that sort. Please have an agreement. Have an agreement, have a joint venture agreement. Let everybody know who is bringing what and the extent of the liabilities that will be involved, the obligations, the duties, the responsibilities, the roles. All these things should be spelled out so that everybody will know their rights and their liabilities and their obligations. Because whether you like it or not, human beings are the most complex creatures. You can be talking with somebody now and the next minute they've changed their mind, and you don't want to be at the risk of that kind of uncertainty. So but when you have these things setting and put down in writing, you absolve yourself of those kind of risks and those uncertainties, especially for sale of land. Guys, the money you will spend to protect your interest in a land that has issue, or sometimes it can be more than the money that you spend to buy that land, and you don't need that kind of trouble. You don't need that kind of trouble. Do well to always have an agreement that will protect your rights and protect your interests, as well as protect the rights and interests of the other party. Preferably, I would prefer having it in writing, because 10 years later, anybody that reads that agreement will know what the parties intended to get into. It's not a matter of, oh, who said this, I didn't say it, or I said that. It's going to be in writing, black and white, so everybody knows what is there. And even if you give it to a third party to read and interpret, they'll be able to read it and interpret it based on what is put down. However, in another video, we'll be looking at the pros and the cons of both a spoken agreement and a written agreement. Thank you so much for watching this video. Truly it means a lot to me. I really do appreciate you. In our next video, we'll be dealing with spoken and written contracts, so that you can understand when you can make do with a spoken agreement and when you must have a written agreement in place. So until then, thank you so much for watching. See you guys in my next video. Bye.